to another great episode of The Bourbon Road with your hosts, Jim and Brian, where they talk bourbon and, of course, drink bourbon. Grab yourself a pour, kick back, and enjoy another trip down the Bourbon Road.
Very excited to have Blanton'sBourbonShop.com as a new sponsor for the Bourbon Road podcast. In fact, this podcast is brought to you by Blanton's Bourbon Shop. Blanton'sBourbonShop.com is the only official merchandiser for Blanton's, the original single barrel. Looking for a unique gift? Blanton's Bourbon Shop has got you covered. Blanton'sBourbonShop.com is your home for all Blanton's gifts. The Bourbon Road is excited to have pintsandbarrels.com as a sponsor of this episode, as well as our official custom apparel provider. Be sure to check out pintsandbarrels.com and browse their ultimate online store for bourbon lovers. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Road podcast. I'm your host, Jim Shannon, and tonight it's Brian and I in the Bourbon Road Lounge. We're sort of hanging out, trying to catch up on a few samples we've gotten recently. Are you excited to get through this, Brian?
I'm excited.
All right, so we've had a couple of episodes on the road. We had a couple episodes together where we were at events. We had a great time. It's been a wonderful September and October. The leaves are falling. The weather's getting cooler. The higher proof bourbons, the higher rye bourbons, they're starting to look a little more yummier. What do you think?
I think so.
All right. So today we've got 4 whiskeys for you. And we've got a number of samples that came into us and a couple of whiskeys that caught our attention that we want to bring to your attention today. And kind of a reset, set back, relax, have a few bourbons, take a chill pill, have a good time. Man, I need it.
I need it. It's been a long stretch.
It has been. And, the last 4 or 5 days I've had family in town. They do like to drink bourbon, but they really like to drink beer. So I've been drinking a lot of beer the last few days. And it's kind of good to sit back with a couple of bourbons tonight, just have a good time with you, Brian. I've kind of missed you just a little bit.
Yeah, it's been what, 2 weeks?
It has been
2 weeks or so.
Yeah. And we put out our best effort at Bourbon on the Banks.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great time there. But today we're going to drink through a few bourbons. We've got some, like I said, we got some samples in. But first, one of the things that kind of grabbed our attention at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival this year was the big marketing effort put forth by Northern Kentucky and the Beeline to sort of spotlight the whiskeys and the bourbons that are put out in Northern Kentucky, which is, okay, it's still the Bourbon Trail, but it's kind of at the far reaches of the Bourbon Trail, right?
That's right.
So they're kind of doing their own thing up there. And one of the distilleries up there that has always shined a big light on the bourbon business is New Riff. And I think you and I both have been big fans of New Riff for some time.
I have been, and I think they do a great job with their selections, barrel selections, and allowing people to come up and do that. And their experience is great.
And they're right there on the river, just across from Cincinnati. They're not a small operation. They put out some volume.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, they're not Heaven Hill, but they do quite a bit of volume, and they've got kind of a flavor profile that sort of stands on its own a little bit more of a high rye, something with a little bit of a bite.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of their own. They walk their own line. Would you say?
I would say so. Yeah.
Well, tonight we've got the New Riff Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And this is a bottle and bond whiskey, so it's going to be 100%. It's going to be minimum of 4 years old. And we're going to drink through this, let you know what we think about it. I think we've had it on the show before, but it has been, I'm going to say it's been probably a year and a half or 2 years since we've had this whiskey on the show. So I'm glad to bring it back again. Give all our new listeners a chance to hear our thoughts on it. Let's get straight to the whiskey, Brian.
Right.
Cheers.
Let's do it. Cheers.
that has a nice, wonderful nose on it. That rye spice just pops, just pops on it. But for 100 proof, I don't get a lot of ethanol, not a lot of bite on the nose, but I do get that nice rye muffin, rye flavor.
Yeah, the spice jumps out. And I do love the fact that there's not a lot of ethanol in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes it real nice.
Now they have a number of expressions. They do make a phenomenal rye. Their bottled and bond bourbon is just something, their core product is just something special. And I'm ready to taste it. How about you?
I'm ready.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a lot of rye. So it definitely has that kind of that broad rye spice mouthfeel to it. It's got a little bit of a kind of a butterscotch note for me. So
Yeah.
it kind of skips right past caramel and goes straight to butterscotch. A lot of oak, a little vanilla.
I would say that.
Yeah, a little vanilla. But at 30%, so the mash bill on this is 65, 30, and 5. 65 corn, 30% rye, 5% malted barley. But the oak on this is really there. I mean, it's right up front.
It is. And I like that.
Yeah, I do too. Unfiltered, as I would say, as most whiskeys are, most bourbons are anymore. People have kind of found that the bourbon drinkers, at least those that like to taste their whiskeys in the 100 proof and plus range, are expecting their whiskeys to be unfiltered, unchill filtered anyway.
I remember the first time I saw the non-chilled filtered that I could really remember. And Four Roses was kind of the one that jumped out to me more than anything else. And that was, I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago. I was like, why have I not really paid attention to that before? But I think you're right. I mean, and it's a big deal. I think it makes a big difference.
I think for a long time, distilleries were fearful of the flocking that took place in bottles when they got cold. So, you're a distillery, you're producing whiskeys at 90 proof, 85 proof, 86 proof, 80 proof, whatever it is. And you ship those bottles to distributors. And during the shipping process, they find themselves getting cold, very chilled. And what happens is they tend to flock, or solids tend to come out of solution. They get kind of cloudy. And it's not easy to get those back into solution. So when the bottles are sitting on the shelf and somebody looks at them, you got that cloudy look to them. Like, nobody wants to buy a cloudy whiskey, right?
That's right.
So it doesn't happen with whiskeys that are 95 proof and above. It just doesn't happen. But the lower proofs tend to flock out a little bit like that in cold weather. But, bourbon drinkers like you and I have come to know that non-chill filtered whiskeys that aren't passed through a chiller and then filtered to remove the flocking, have a much more velvety and thick and viscous mouthfeel. They're just better. They're just, altogether, they're just good. Yeah.
Yep. So, talking about cloudy.
Yeah.
And you just said beer. What do you think about cloudy beer?
Well, you mean like an IPA, like a milkshake IPA?
One of those get real, you have it would appear to be a lighter, I guess, would amber be a good color to pick, a lighter color, but you can see that it's a little bit cloudy. You can't see through the glass.
Right.
I was kind of surprised at how good some of those can be. And I know beer is such a wide range, but, I think those are the ones that stand out to me, is when you're used to getting that Pilsner or something that comes to you and it's a little, you can see through the glass, and you get one of those cloudy beers. It's like, wow, what should I expect here?
I never thought about it with the beers, because I think with whiskeys, people feel like the liquid's a little more refined, distilled, therefore it should be crystal clear, right? And when it's not, they think something's wrong with it.
Right.
I don't think anything's wrong with it. I think if you drink it, you'll be perfectly pleased with it.
Mhm.
But that look just sort of drives
It
people.
puts, well, and remember Copper and Kings, the conversation with absinthe, how the color changes could happen with absinthe
Right.
as well.
Right.
So,
Yeah, the chlorophyll turns brown, and that nobody's going to like that. Well, anyway,
it's just not pleasing to the eye.
so the Kentucky, Kentucky's kind of big. It seems like the bourbon territory is kind of north central Kentucky, Louisville, Bardstown, Frankfort, Lexington's kind of the core of the sort of the bourbon scene. Northern Kentucky, in fact, New Riff is in Newport, Kentucky, right on the river, just across the Ohio River from Cincinnati. Certainly, the Bourbon Trail extends to there, and there's a number of distilleries up there, like Boone County, and others. But they're kind of so far outside the main core of the Bourbon Trail that sort of they miss that flow of traffic a little bit. Wouldn't you say?
I would say so. And it's, I have friends when they come in, and one of them's a group of guys from North Carolina. They always go to Northern Kentucky. They hit New Riff. I'm sure they hit some of the other ones, Pensive. And then you have the Neely family and some others that are kind of up that way.
Right.
You get in the Mayfield area, you've got others. So,
but that's way up the river.
That's way up.
Now
the
you're
river.
really scooting up the river.
So if you fly into Cincinnati,
you're right in the heart of Northern Kentucky.
You're right there. So why not go ahead and stop in and check out some of these distilleries? And New Riff, you're going to be happy. You stop in there, they're going to treat you right. You're going to have a good time.
Yes, it's a great place, and there's a fantastic liquor store right next door. Actually, they share a parking lot with just an amazing liquor store. And you can walk into that place. There's going to be probably 200 bourbons on the shelf. It's just phenomenal. So I highly recommend, folks, if you are flying into the greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky airport, definitely take time to pop in into Newport, check out New Riff. As you're driving towards, the core of bourbon country, you're going to pass right by Boone County Distillery. They're pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
And just take a little dog leg there, hit Lexington.
Yeah.
Pop into a few places, James Pepper, other places down there, and then head east. Head west. And my goodness, it's just nonstop distilleries.
It really is. And there's some great places to stop in. And if you do the things that Jim has been able to do here recently, and travel the way that I would like to travel here in the near future, and rent an RV or something of that sort, how cool would it be to hit kind of that side of Kentucky that I would say most people don't think about? And you have a lot of opportunity to see some cool things and stop into some distilleries that you may not always know that are in that area of the state.
It's a fantastic area. Highly recommend people get up to Northern Kentucky and check out the whiskey scene there. Check out Beeline. It is the sort of Northern Kentucky coalition of restaurants, bars, and distilleries that sort of embrace the bourbon scene in that part of the country. Check them out. There's probably a half a dozen good distilleries up there that make great product. New Riff is definitely a shining star in that area. I love this whiskey. I really like it a lot. I mean, it's got great character. It has a great spicy core to it. Good, solid butterscotch feel. And, bottle and bond. Anybody who's making a bottle and bond whiskey is doing it right.
Yeah, I agree. I love the bottle and bond, and New Riff has done a great job.
They have.
Like I said, I have some great picks from New Riff. I have one from my friends in North Carolina, Pig and Pickle. I have, I don't know where I got this bottle, but I had one that was called Fat Boys.
Fat Boys.
And that was really good as well. Really good.
Awesome. Well, Brian, it's good to have you back. It's great to get through that first whiskey of ours here. We've got another whiskey coming up, and it's one that you're going to talk a little bit about. This is a sample that we received in. It's probably come in a couple of weeks ago. We haven't got around to it until now. But won't you tell folks what's in our second glass today?
Well, so this one, actually, we had some wheated bourbons on, I believe, last time I was on. So this one's going to fall right in that same discussion there. This is from Heaven Hill, and this is the Bernheim Barrel Proof Kentucky Straight Wheat Whiskey B923.
So we did have the Bernheim wheat whiskey on a few weeks back, and I think on that show we were kind of highlighting wheat whiskeys, but this in particular is something that probably a lot of people haven't had, right? Which is the barrel proof version of it.
That's right. And so they had one that was released in February of this year, 2023. So this one was just kind of hit the shelves in September, the B923.
One of the things about this is that it's got such a deep, rich color to it. This is something that's, when you think of a kind of a straight wheat whiskey, you don't think of something that's going to have a lot of deep, dark amber color to it. This is mahogany.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the proof on this, Brian?
So the proof on this is 120.6.
Okay. This is, it's got a little bit of heft to it. Awesome. Well, they sent us a sample. I think we got a 275 from them, or at least less than a full fifth of whiskey from them, but it's certainly enough for us to sample, taste, and know what we're thinking. So cheers.
Cheers.
Wow, the nose is so awesome on that.
I don't get 120.
No, I don't either.
Not at all.
I fully expected to get hit with a big punch when I put it to my nose, and it didn't happen.
I mean, there is no ethanol to me at all on this nose.
No, it's so light and smooth and soft. Kind of a super light kind of fruity nose on it. I'm almost having trouble figuring out a particular fruit. I get this fruity waft to it, but it's not like, is it strawberry or?
It's just so, it's so subtle.
I would never, ever guess this to be 120 proof. Putting it to my nose, I would be like, oh, this is 85 or 90, right?
Oh yeah. No, it definitely does not come across as a 120.
Just a tad bit of spice to it, but man, you can definitely tell it's a barrel spice. It's definitely not from any kind of a spicy grain or anything like that. This is just soft, sweet, lightly floral, a little bit of fruitiness to it. Almost like a juicy fruit. Oh, juicy fruit gum.
Yeah.
Cheers. Ready to taste it?
Cheers.
Okay, so it's a different animal on the palate altogether. Not overly sweet.
Wow. Cinnamon.
Yeah, cinnamon, oak. Not a lot of super sweetness on it. I expected it to be sweeter than this, and it's not.
I mean, I get a lot of cinnamon.
Yeah, a lot of cinnamon. So it went from like juicy fruit gum on the nose to like Big Red on the palate. Almost like a total changeover.
Like Red Hots or, the Big Red chewing gum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever I hear Big Red, I always get tied up with the Big Red drink, which is nothing like the bubble gum.
Going back to the nose, it's just like soft and subtle and unassuming. You take a sip on the palate.
The palate is so different from the nose.
Jekyll and Hyde.
This is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think you could have some fun with this one with friends. You could really throw people. It's a curveball, no doubt, from the nose to the palate.
Yeah. If you were trying to catch somebody in a tasting and try to get them to name the proof or name the distillery or name even name the category of whiskey this is, right? I think from the nose, there's no way you're going to get this. And if you do, by the time you taste it, you'll be like, no, that's not right. There's no way. Because this is definitely a Jekyll and Hyde kind of whiskey here.
I mean, what do you think about this being a wheated on the palate? Like it
sizzles the front of the tongue a little bit. It's got a good bite mid palate. It settles in on the back. It's got a great deal of oak and spice on the back end. The spice is more of a cinnamon. But, the impression stays on the mid palate is it's a pretty, I don't know, I'm not going to say spicy, but it's a pretty cinnamon hot whiskey, right?
It really is.
And the nose is no way telling you that's going to happen.
It's a long finish too.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing short about this finish at all.
Absolutely. I'd say it's really good. It's a little bit, confusing. If you like the nose to match the palate, if you like the nose to be a good indication of what's coming when you taste it, this is not your whiskey. If you like things that surprise you and take you by surprise, hey, this could be it.
This is a good one.
Because it is a good whiskey. It's a good sipping whiskey.
No, I mean, I don't mean to take anything away from it because I think it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And I do. I like cinnamon. I like the red hots. I like the big red chewing gum. I like all that kind of stuff. So this is really, really good.
So did Heaven Hill have any tidbits of information on this particular product to let us know what they thought about it?
Well, so they didn't really share a whole lot. The mash bill is 51% wheat, 37% corn, and 12% malted barley. Aged between 7 and 9 years.
Okay, so it's a well-aged whiskey.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's 120.6 proof. I guess I could probably take a look back and see what the release in February was like of this year, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that it was probably nothing like this.
Yeah.
This is unique.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a whiskey that'll take you by surprise. I would, first of all, if I was tasting this blind, I'm going to say the last thing I would guess it to be is a Bernheim wheat whiskey. By taking the nose, I would say it's a little soft. It could be a wheated bourbon, but I would never guess it to be 120 proof. I'd probably guess it in the 90 proof range. And then you taste it, and that's where it reveals itself as kind of a cinnamon bomb. Definitely starts tasting a little bit more like 120 proof whiskey, and totally different than it definitely is Jekyll and Hyde.
No, there's no doubt about it. And well, one other thing about this one, the suggested retail is $64.99. So, I mean, that's really not bad. Like, I think it's one you would pick up all day long.
Yeah. A 120 proof whiskey in the 7 to 9 year range from a big boy distillery, $60.
Yeah.
There you go.
And Heaven Hill, they do a great job.
They do. Absolutely.
Fantastic job.
Well, we kind of neglected wheat whiskeys for a while. I would say we probably in 370 episodes, we have had less than 2 episodes relating to wheat whiskeys. I think we've caught up a little bit. We've got a couple of episodes here in the last month that have sort of touched on them. My general take on this is, if you haven't had a wheat whiskey, you should definitely try one. If you haven't had a barrel proof wheat whiskey, it's a surprise, at least from Heaven Hill.
Oh, yeah.
And you probably ought to give it a shot. At the very least, get a pour in a bar, give it a shot. Find a friend who has a bottle.
That's right.
Visit the distillery down in Bardstown. And
it's a great place to visit.
It absolutely is. Brian, I'm kind of looking forward during the break here to just sipping through this and talking a little bit more about it with you. But I want to thank Heaven Hill for sending us this sample. It's always nice to receive a bottle from Heaven Hill. You always know it's going to be a great surprise. And we look forward to the next one. So cheers, folks. Stick around. We'll be right back. We got 2 more whiskeys and another 30 minutes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Looking for a unique gift? Blanton's Bourbon Shop has got you covered. All of their handcrafted wood products are made in their in-house wood shop with authentic bourbon barrels. Specializing in barrel-aged potent treats, they use Blanton's barrels to age their own maple syrup, honey, and coffee. Find the most unique gift ideas for your golf lover, cigar connoisseur, avid coffee drinker, and Blanton's fan. Want to win an authentic Blanton's Barrelhead? Make sure you sign up for the giveaway on the homepage of their website. BlantonsBourbonShop.com is your home for all Blanton's gifts. If you're a bourbon drinker, and I bet you are if you're listening to this podcast, you need to head over to pintsandbarrels.com and check out the ultimate online store for bourbon lovers. Pints and Barrels Company was started by bourbon lovers for bourbon lovers. From spices to t-shirts, you'll find the perfect bourbon gift. Pints and Barrels proudly supports the Bourbon Road and invites you to visit pintsandbarrels.com. Do you need a custom apparel or swag for your bar, distillery, maybe even your bourbon society? They can do that too. As a matter of fact, they print our apparel. We're so happy with the quality and fast turnaround. Pintsandbarrels.com, the ultimate bourbon lovers gift shop and branding specialist. All right, friends, we are back. We had a great break there. Brian and I sipped on that high proof Bernheim. My goodness. We had to slow down a little bit. That's a hot and spicy booger, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Wow.
We managed to get through it. And you know what? It's quite the animal of its own.
Mm-hmm.
I think we called it Jekyll and Hyde, a little bit of
That's right.
Chimera. You know?
There we go.
Yeah. Chimera. There we go.
Yeah.
It definitely, the nose and the palate don't match on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting pour. It's definitely at a high proof, 120. You know, as far as wheat whiskeys go, that's probably the tip of the iceberg for spicy, hot wheat whiskeys. But the nose you would never guess it.
Never get it.
All right. So we're starting this half with another whiskey. Brian, you're going to talk a little bit about this one. People kind of know we've been on a little bit of a Georgia whiskey kick here lately. and this is another whiskey from Georgia. This is one that was sent to us a few weeks back, and I'm delighted to get a chance to taste it because their rye whiskey and their bourbon whiskey that we took to Bourbon on the Banks was very popular.
Smash hit,
definitely. Yep. And so here we have another whiskey from them. And Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so this is the 2023 Double Oak, and this is a limited release, only about 3,200 bottles released. The allocation is in Georgia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Texas. And this is one of the darker.
It's chocolate brown.
It is dark on dark.
Why don't you tell everybody what the distillery is?
So, yeah, 13th Colony.
13th Colony.
That's right.
Definitely a fan favorite for us.
It is. And, everything they put out that we've had, that we've been able to share with folks, like they love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So, 13th Colony, 2023 Double Oak. And this is a 10-year. And we're going to go up a few notches here on the ladder for proof. We're going to go ahead and raise this up to 136.8.
Oh, my goodness. Dangerously close to hazmat. We're getting there.
Yeah, I was trying to think back at the highest proof that I've had recently, and I can't really remember But I always kind of judged high proof on, unfortunately for some folks, the Blanton straight from the barrel. So I've had that as high as 133.4, but I can't say that I recall too many getting up into 136, 137, 140. We're up there.
Yeah, we are. I'm excited to try it. This is a very dark, chocolate dark, mahogany dark whiskey. It's beautiful in the Glencairn.
Oh, it is.
And I'm very excited to try this. And thank you, 13th Colony, for sending us a sample of this. We're going to review it and we're going to talk about it truthfully. Cheers, Brian.
Cheers.
Oh, my goodness. The nose on that is just wonderful.
I'm just going to say maple.
Maple, cherry maple. Deep, dark, rich. This is a 10-year-old, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every bit of 10-year-old.
Yep.
It reminds me a little bit of like the richness you get out of a Weller 12. Just wonderful. But my goodness, just caramel, butterscotch, maple, cherry, just deep, dark, oak and rich and very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. I would have guessed this over 10 years.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, from the appearance side, the nose is fantastic. I mean, the nose definitely says 136.
Yeah, it does. But it doesn't singe the nose hairs or anything.
No,
it's just like this, this is a real big, bold whiskey. This is something you're going to really enjoy tasting. This is something that would complement even the most aggressive cigar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cheers. I'm going to taste
Cheers.
it. Oh, my gosh. That is so good. This reminds me of a George T. Stagg. It is really good.
It's every bit of 136.
Yeah, not a Stagg Jr. This is a George T. Stagg.
Yep.
Wow. So wonderful.
I mean, for me, I still get the maple, caramel. Those really come out strong.
Yeah, some of the chocolatey notes are starting to come in on it, though. It's a little bit of that, those chocolate bitters, those cocoa nibs. It definitely has that darker, deeper, richer, chocolatey cocoa flavor to it. Oh my goodness, this is a wonderful whiskey. Can we get a bottle of this? Is there any of this around? This is really good.
Well, I believe on the 13 Colony site, it says that this one is sold out online, but you can get it in stores.
So at the distillery, you can't get it anymore. They've sold out. Oh my goodness.
So if you're in the, Georgia, Arkansas, Tennessee area, I bet you could get it in Tennessee.
Yeah. So this is available online though, right? Drizzly, seal box.
Seal box, yep.
What's the price on a bottle of this?
Well, so that, I had a little trouble trying to find that. Of course, we have the folks that like to charge a little more for it.
Okay. So when a bottle sells out quickly, or it has sort of a great reception early on and it becomes very hard to put your hands on, price tends to climb a little bit in the,
that's right,
at the online stores. So what is the range that you've seen?
I bet that based on what I've seen on my research, you're looking anywhere from $80 all the way up to $300, $400.
Any indication on what the MSRP is on this? I would assume it's closer to 80.
The retail price, from what I'm finding, is supposed to be $79.99.
Okay, so it's an $80 bottle out of the box, but it's had such a great reception that it's selling out quickly. So if you're in the distribution area for this whiskey and you find it on the shelf and it's anywhere in the, I would say it personally, I'm going to say if it's anywhere in the 80 to 120 range, I'm going to tell you to snap it up.
Go ahead and get it.
I would. Yeah, this is really
Don't
good.
wait because, limited release. You're not going to get it again.
How many bottles were there?
3,200.
3,200 bottles. These guys at 13th Colony are killing it. They're really killing it. Georgia distilleries in general are just nailing it, right? And this is a wonderful whiskey. We've got to get down there, Brian.
Wow.
I think we need another Georgia road trip.
I need a road trip.
You need a road trip. Period.
Just a road trip.
Well, we should do it. We should. I tell you what we need to do. We need to get 2 tickets to Atlanta. Get us a rental car.
Mm-hmm.
We need to hit Americas. We need to hit Cumming. We need to hit Atlanta. We need to go back to our favorite spots. Georgia is killing it right now. And this is a great whiskey. 3,200 bottles is not enough, 13th Colony. You need to make more of this stuff. Oh, my goodness. I think they've been on the show now 3 or 4 times over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been amazing, the product that they put out. And they just need to step up and make more volume, I think. This is good stuff.
I'm just looking and really appreciating the coating on my glass.
I mean, I haven't seen a whiskey this dark since Old Forester 1910.
Yeah.
This is about what it looks like, right? I mean, it's really a deep, dark, chocolatey amber color on this.
I remember when you turned me on to 1910. That was, I don't know how many years ago, but we were at Churchill together.
Yeah.
And we ran that suite.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You said, let's get this. And then you're like, well, the 1920 is pretty good too. Let's.
We ordered something. I can't remember. I remember what it was. We did order like a bottle of the Old Forester 19 something. I mean, I don't remember what it was. We ordered a bottle of Old Forester for the suite, but they were out of it.
That's
so
right.
They comped us the bottle of 1910 as an apology. And we made it go away pretty quick, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
That was great.
Oh, it was so good.
What a great day at the track. And today is opening day of fall meet.
Wow.
I wish I could have been there today.
Keeneland wrapped up, and now we're moving on to Churchill. And here we go.
It is horse racing season. Awesome. Brian, this is a great whiskey.
Yes, it is.
I have gotten so excited about these guys. I tell you what, there's 3 distilleries right now. They're just darlings of mine in Georgia. And I hope our listeners aren't getting tired of hearing it, but Legends Distillery, ASW Distillery, and 13th Colony, they're just killing it.
So why do you think Georgia is doing so good? Like what's going on down there for these guys to be having this much success and to continue to put out just phenomenal releases?
Well, I think their consumer base is demanding. I think they expect high quality whiskey. And in order for them to be successful in their area, they have to produce high quality whiskey. And it's really good stuff. And, you don't have to be in Kentucky to make great whiskey. We've learned that over and over again. Colorado's got some great whiskeys. Certainly Washington State does. Texas does. Next week, we're going to Iowa. We'll be in Iowa next week. We'll be tasting some great whiskeys from Iowa. And you know what? They just need to, if you don't produce a top quality, delicious whiskey, you're not going to be in business very long. And
that's right.
The guys in Georgia just are doing it right. They're just doing it right. So amazing. This is such good stuff. We actually have another Georgia whiskey coming up next. It's not a bourbon though, folks. Just we'll give you an upfront hint there. It's going to be something a little bit off the wall, but we wanted to treat you to a new special whiskey that we've gotten in recently, and we'll have that here in just a few. But I just want to savor this
So rich. It's rich.
It is really good. One more time, Brian. What's the price? What are the states they can get it in? I know everybody can't get it, but it is available online. So what's the price? $80 retail?
Retail is $79.99.
Okay. You're probably going to pay a little bit more than that. But what are the states it's available in?
Georgia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Texas.
Okay.
Man, I feel like Texas always gets the love in the distribution, don't they?
They always get the love. They always get the love. Yeah. Texas and Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Well, Washington, D.C., you got to take care of our politicians, right?
I guess so. Yeah. There you go. And then the price is, like you said, is $80. But what are they going to pay for it on, let's say, Sealbox?
Well, Sealbox, I believe, was $120.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, if you find the right store and you're in Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, or Arkansas, you're probably going to get a pretty good price there. Excuse me. Let me back up. Sealbox was actually $200. That's pushing it for me just a little bit.
Because anytime you're more than double MSRP, you kind of got me scratching my head a little bit.
Well, and how easy would it be for us to jump in the car and drive down to Tennessee real quick and hit a couple stores and probably find it?
Sure. But if you're listening to us and you're in Nebraska, you're probably like, well, I can't do that.
That's right.
Do I drop 200 on this? I don't know if I would or not. It's awful good though. It is.
Well, and it's also limited. So, you can get it and you can get it now and soon, or you may not ever get it. And if you find it down the road, you're going to be paying more than $200 in most cases.
All right. Well, your own pocketbook, folks. If this is something that you've heard us talk about it and taste it, if it's piqued your interest and you think you just got to have it, your own wallet.
That sense of urgency.
You make your own decision.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think I would drop 200, but it's awful delicious. I would definitely drop 120.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. 200 on any bottle of whiskey is going to be a lot for me. I'd like to be in that 70 to 120 on the high end.
Yeah. $80 MSRP, the price that 13th Colony put on it. Buy all day long. I absolutely would. No doubt about it. But as the price goes up, as the scarcity goes up and it's harder to get, I don't know where I'd draw the line. In fact, I don't think I could tell anybody what to pay and what not to pay. It's really entirely up to you. Personally, I would go to 120. I probably wouldn't go to 200. How do you feel?
I agree with that. I like to, when I purchase whiskey, I don't like to get too out of control.
Yeah.
And I like it to be in my sweet spot. If it's over my sweet spot, I'm going to drink it at a bar. I'm going to taste it. I'm going to, find friends that I can let them taste some cool things that I have, and maybe they'll let me taste something cool that I'd like to try. So there's a lot of ways to enjoy whiskey without having to purchase something that's a little bit out of your price range.
Yeah. Well, here's the takeaway, folks. Keep your eye on 13th Colony. Keep your eye on Georgia in general, but definitely keep your eye on 13th Colony. They're putting out some excellent product, and this is a good example of an exceptional product that they put out. I would highly recommend that you put them on your watch list. Go on their website. If they have a sign up there that to get notifications on releases, I would definitely go on and sign up for it. Their bourbon whiskey in general, their rye whiskey in general, excellent, wonderful. We love it. It's so good. Their special release here, the 3,200 bottles of this double oaked whiskey that came out, just fantastic, wonderful. So keep an eye on 13th Colony, folks. All right, Brian, I just want one last sip.
I've got a little sip left.
All right,
I'm enjoying it.
Cheers, one more time.
Cheers.
Yum, yum. So good. All right. So next on our list, another Georgia distillery, another Georgia darling. Just so happens Georgia's kicking butt in the NCAA this year, Brian. And even without their star tight end. What do you think about that?
Well,
you weren't very happy the other week when they were. Yeah.
As a Kentucky fan, typically the middle of the season, you don't enjoy a whole lot. And that's because you're in the meat of your schedule. You know, you have to play Georgia. Yeah. You have to play Florida. You have to play Tennessee. You have to play Alabama or one of those schools. So Georgia is kicking butt.
Yeah, they just played Florida.
And I like Georgia. Out of all the schools in the SEC, that is one of the schools I can get down with.
Except on the weekend they're playing Kentucky, right?
That's the one exception. I really like Georgia during basketball season. It's usually a couple easy wins. You get them in the tournament, it's usually 3 easy wins. But in football, those guys, Kirby Smart, one of the best coaches ever, fantastic person. But you're right, that tight end, Brock Bowers.
He's unreal.
Watch out in NFL. When he gets there, he's going to be on my fantasy team.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching a little bit. I mean, I watched a little bit of yesterday, I should say. Watched a little bit of the Georgia-Florida game. Watched a little bit of Louisville playing Duke. Mm-hmm. That was a blowout.
I heard Louisville looked pretty good. I don't watch those games, but I heard it went well for Louisville.
I was surprised to see, them shut down what is normally a pretty damn good defense. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, unreal. Just a lot of great things happening in Kentucky in football this year. I know both teams haven't had all the bright shining thumbs up that they should have had, but I think it's a pretty good year.
One
for
of our
Kentucky.
friends down at Western Kentucky, they do a great job, and Eastern Kentucky, man, those guys, they just win. They win in their conference, and they are fantastic.
Yeah, so good, so much fun. I really enjoy a good game, and we haven't. Other than the week or so ago, we sat in the bar and watched the games on the television. We haven't had a chance to really sit down and enjoy a game together.
No, we haven't.
We need to do that.
And we need to do it.
And it shouldn't be the Kentucky-Louisville game.
It's kind of like politics.
Yeah.
I don't talk about that game with a whole lot of people. Whether we win, lose, or draw, there's so many things that go on. And when I started my own company here in Kentucky, I always told my clients, we can talk about anything you want to.
Yeah.
But we're not talking Kentucky, Louisville.
Yeah.
Because I knew most of my clients were Louisville fans. And I said, let's leave that on the table.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness, Brian, that I'm not a fan of any one team. I'm not a Cardinal fan. I'm not a Kentucky fan.
Not a Buckeye fan at all?
I'm not a Buckeye fan. No, I just like watching good competitive football games, and I'll cheer for whoever, put it this way. If I'm watching a football game today and there's a Kentucky team playing, I'll cheer for them.
That's your team.
I'll cheer for them. Absolutely. But if it's Kentucky and Louisville playing, I'm not sure. What I'm going to choose. But
yeah, I mean, you wouldn't hurt my feelings if you said Louisville.
Yeah. All right, Brian. So next in our glass is a whiskey. It's not a bourbon. But this whiskey is not quite as dark as the last one.
No, it's not.
But it does have a good amber color to it. So this is another Georgia whiskey. This is out of Atlanta. This is ASW Distillery. They were on the show a couple of weeks back. And this particular whiskey is what you call an Irish pot still whiskey. But you can't really call it an Irish whiskey unless it's made in Ireland legally. Just like you can't call a bourbon unless it's made in the United States.
Irish style. This is an Irish style whiskey. It's made in the style of single pot still whiskeys. And a little bit of a story behind that. And if you listen to past episodes where we've had single pot still whiskeys on, you're already familiar with this fact. But I'm gonna go over it again to those who are not familiar with it.
A single pot still Irish whiskey is kind of a category of its own. And it came about a couple hundred years ago when the Irish people were being taxed by England because England was basically in charge, let's just say.
Being England.
That's right. They were being England. And the Irish people were subservient to the King of England. And the King of England decided that he wanted to tax the Irish people. And the best way to tax them was to tax their whiskey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their whiskey was made from malted barley. Well, he said, well, if I'm going to tax their whiskey, the best way to do that is to tax them on the amount of malted barley that they have. Well, the Irish people are actually kind of smart, and they figured a way around it. And what they decided is that, well, we could probably make whiskey out of non-malted barley too, at least a portion of it. So they started making whiskey out of a combination of malted barley and unmalted barley, only paying tax on the malted barley. So it reduced the tax significantly and made their whiskey cheaper to make. And the result of that was a single pot still Irish whiskey. And it became so common and throughout the country that it became a new category, and it actually became a flavor profile that the Irish people preferred. Well, we're now making this in the United States. It's called an Irish style whiskey, and it's made by a number of distilleries in the U.S., and it's called a single pot still Irish whiskey. This one is triple distilled. This comes from ASW Distillery in Atlanta, Georgia. And if you listen to a past episode, you know they have 3 separate locations in Atlanta. This particular whiskey is 49% alcohol, 98 proof, which is a little bit high for an Irish whiskey or an Irish style whiskey. It's called Druid Hill. It is made in the U.S., but it's made with barley and malt from South Ireland. So, basically, this is an Irish malt whiskey, but made in the U.S. Pretty cool stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah. Druid Hill out of ASW Distillery, Atlanta, Georgia. Cheers, Brian.
Cheers.
Now, that's a different animal. Oh, it's so nutty and fruity at the same time. Just shy of 100 proof. Malted barley all day long. A little bit of nut and fruit.
What is the fruit?
Like a pear.
It's pretty for me, it's sweet.
Yeah, it is sweet. It's kind of like
it would be like a fig.
It definitely has kind of a fig flavor to it.
I always feel like, the fig Newton type flavor profile separates itself a little bit for me. I do get that, but that doesn't mean that it's right. I mean, we're coming off of 136, so I could be a little shaky here.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a little bit of like a vanilla, sugar vanilla flavor to it. It's kind of maybe like a creamy, like a creme brulee kind of thing. It does have a little bit of fruit to it, but it would be a lighter fruit, like a pear or a peach. No, not a peach, more like a pear, I think. Just really like light, succulent.
Mm-hmm.
Just a good, soft whiskey.
Going back to the nose, I felt like it was so pleasant. When you, and I really enjoyed that 13th Colony, but when you're coming off of that and you really want something that's a nice transition.
Yeah.
A little bit lower proof. The nose on this was so pleasant. It was like, okay, like this is the right transition, and not overpowering. It's sweet. But you can definitely tell it's a little bit different. It's off the beaten path from what we think, from the normal whiskey bourbon profile.
Yeah. I was saying earlier that I was saying it was nutty, But the more I think about it, it's more like a pumpkin seed instead. Like, you know what I mean? Like a light kind of I mean like a pumpkin seed or a sunflower seed.
You know, this is another little tangent here, but every time around this time of year, you know, we're looking at Halloween, we're looking at all the fall festivals and all the fun stuff. Well, pumpkins are right there. Every time I see a beer that is a pumpkin beer, I get so excited.
Do you?
I do. I get excited. And every time I drink one, I am so disappointed. And I fall for the trap every single year.
And what's the trap? I mean, that you think pumpkin and beer should go together and they don't really go together?
It's the time of year. There's a place that, and I won't name it and I won't name the beer, but there's a place that we go as a family every year. It's the same brewery, same release. And I'm like, it's going to be good this year.
Yeah.
Go in, grab it. And I'm like, oh, first drink. Like, why did I do that again?
So let me ask you,
like 5 years in a row.
Have you had a pumpkin beer you like?
I haven't.
So do you think maybe it's just like there's not a pumpkin beer you're going to like?
I think it's probably time to give up.
Yeah.
But there's that eternal hope that it's going to be okay, and just doesn't seem to work out.
Yeah. Well, I think Irish style whiskeys are a nice side road to take, folks. For me, it is something that I really enjoy. Irish pot still whiskeys like Talnua. They're just delightful. They're wonderful. They're soft. They do have that kind of nutty quality to them, a little bit of fruitiness to them. But you know, they're altogether different from a Scotch or traditional Irish whiskey.
Really, not as much peat.
Yep. Yeah, they're just wonderful, tastefully done, delightful whiskeys. And I would say, if you get a chance to try an Irish single pot still whiskey, and that's really the key here. It changes the flavor profile.
Yep.
And it's something to try. This particular one here is triple distilled. It's an Irish style single pot still whiskey out of ASW Distillery in Atlanta, Georgia. I think they've done it justice. I think they've done a great job in producing it. It is something that's right around $60 a bottle. So fair price. And it's wonderful. It's really good. ASW has a great distribution. I can't name off all the states, but they have a nice, decent distribution of their whiskeys, and I would highly recommend people give them a shot. This one in particular is, I would rank it right up there with Talnua, and they've been on the show a couple of times too. Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
It's good stuff. Yeah. I just like, I really like the flavor profile on this one. I like how easy, it's a very smooth, easy drink.
Yep.
So if you're looking for something that isn't going to be too overpowering, this is a nice, smooth drink to have.
And a hot Atlanta night.
Oh yeah, hot Atlanta night. Absolutely.
My goodness, this would be good. This is a
Braves game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, I think ASW partners with the Braves on a number of their releases. So they're not going to partner on the Irish style whiskey, but if you need something a little bit different one night at a Braves game, I would say definitely grab this one.
That'd be pretty cool if there was a bottle with the Braves logo on it. Yeah. I don't know if they have any of those, but I know I would love to have one of those on my liquor cabinet.
So Brian, you got a friend that's that's managing in the major leagues now, right?
I do. I have a friend that is the bench coach for the Cubs currently. And he's held a number of positions and played in the big leagues and played in the minor leagues, and just fantastic guy. His name's Andy Green. And, as we talk about so many of the distilleries that just do it the right way, Andy just does it the right way. He does not sacrifice his beliefs or who he is for anybody at any time. And I'm always proud of him. I talked to him last week, and it's so cool to have those people in your life that you can just always say, you know what? I don't want anything. I don't need anything. I'm just proud of you.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed to have so many people like that in my life. But man, from the time that I watched him in Babe Ruth baseball all the way through high school to he's the all-time hits leader at the University of Kentucky. And then when he played minor leagues, I was there the first year he played minor leagues, got to watch him. When he got called up, I flew straight up to Baltimore to be there with him. He didn't play, but then just watched him all the way through every level, and how much fun. Like, wow.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Super fun.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, ASW Distillery, Atlanta, Georgia, definitely should be on your radar if you're traveling up and down I-75 through Atlanta. If you get into Atlanta on business, definitely take a minute, head out to one of their locations, 3 locations in Atlanta. Check them out. They just have they have a real eye on quality, a great selection of spirits. I want to say they're going to have 6 or 7 whiskeys in their portfolio. They've got in particular right now they've got that Toasted series that's just amazing, and they are partnering.
I love Toasted. Don't you love Toasted?
I do. I absolutely love it. And they are partnering with the Braves on their Toasted series. So they've got one out. It was on a couple episodes back. It's just a great expression. So definitely check them out. Brian, I have had such a good time today. It's good time for us to get back together and sort of reset, have a few whiskeys, catch up on our samples that have come in.
That's right.
And we're getting ready to head back on the road here real soon. A couple of Iowa distilleries in our sights. We've got an author and a book coming on real soon.
That'll be fun.
It will really
that
be
one
fun.
Is right up my alley.
Yeah, I know it is. You and I are going to have fun with that. So, folks, we got a lot of great stuff coming up. Make sure you stick with us. Brian, where can people find us on the internet?
So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, sometimes on TikTok, not as much as we would like to be, but we're gonna get that going at some point. Twitter, and we have our Facebook group,
The Bourbon Roadies. Definitely check out the Bourbon Roadies, folks. It's a private Facebook group. We got about 3,200 members. Come on, check us out. Just search on Facebook for The Bourbon Roadies. If you choose to join, you'll get hit with 3 different questions. Do you like bourbon? Do you understand you're getting yourself into a bourbon group, right? Because that's what we are. Do you agree to play nice? Because we don't want anybody in there just chopping anybody off at the knees for what they're drinking. Just have fun. Everybody likes what they like. Don't slam anybody for what they're drinking. Come in and have a good time.
Don't get mad at me when I mix Diet Coke with my pappy.
Do you do that?
No, I don't.
I didn't think so. But if you did, people should leave you alone because it's your pappy, right?
That's right. I bought it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we do a show every single week on Wednesdays. We'll have somebody on. We'll have a guest on. We'll have a music artist or something. We'll have a good time. We'll talk about a distillery. Tonight we've had some samples on. It's just Brian and I. But every week it's a great show. We're having a good time. We're giving you the information you need to choose what whiskey you should be drinking next. Definitely make sure you scroll up to the top of that app you're listening to us on. Hit that subscribe button so that every single week you'll get a notification saying, Jim and Brian, them 2 jokers, they've got another show out. I need to listen to it. We'd love to have you every single week. Brian, we have a website too, right?
We do.
And we sell a little bit of swag on there. thebourbonroad.com. And we do have some swag. And those Bourbonista shirts. Unreal.
You talk about hot.
Yeah.
They are selling like crazy. They were big at Bourbon on the Banks. And I'll tell you what, they're solid.
They are. We got the new bourbon flag shirt, which is bourbon is 100% American. They've been going good. We got our Glencairns and our decanters and our flasks and all that good stuff, our Bourbon Road hats. We hope you guys come onto our website and check all that stuff out. When you buy something on the bourbonroad.com, you help Brian and I get down to the road to that next distillery. Like next week, we're going to be traveling out to Iowa. We're going to hit a distillery or two out there. We're going to bring them to you. We're going to let you know what we think about those Iowa distilleries. Underwriting those trips and those adventures we go on is all as a result of our listeners, taking time to jump into our store and buying a shirt or a hat or a glass or whatever it is. It helps us get down the road.
Yeah. One thing that was not to bring up Bourbon on the Banks too many more times, but one of the things that was interesting, I had that question several times. Where does the money go? Like, why are you selling all this? Like, why do you do this?
Yeah.
And the very honest and simple answer is it helps to pay for the things that we want to do for the Bourbon Road so that we can continue to have these relationships. So to set up the tent at Bourbon on the Banks, to be able to have the Bourbon Roadies bar, and to be able to travel to these distilleries and do these things, that's where the money goes. Like, this is definitely not our full-time job.
Brian,
this is our fun.
This is a hobby to us. We're doing it because we love it.
That's right.
We just like to see that it pays for itself.
We love the industry.
Yeah.
Love it.
What a wonderful thing.
Great people.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have a show next week, folks. Make sure you're tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you jump up to the top of your app and you do that. We'll be sure to come back next week with another great show. But in the meantime, we'll see you down the Bourbon Road.